Masuk.
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 Masuk. Alright everyone, welcome to our brand new show. The title is still in the works. What was the title that came up with just now?
I think it was Brothers Ali Guide to Watching Things.
Alright, this is
Yeah.
the show where we're gonna talk about the media of like mostly watching things. Like we're mainly gonna talk about movies.
Can we close the door first? It's,
Alright,
yeah, go ahead.
we're mainly going to talk about movies and series here. But we're gonna go into some other things and various topics when it comes to filmography as a whole. You know, it can
Yeah.
be anything that you can think of, like even music videos and commercials if it comes to that. Right. There's a disclaimer that wants to say, maybe just for this one. We might get into spoiler territory, but we're not gonna go deep into that because how we're gonna go about this is we're only gonna talk about it, when there's like what.
It's a need to know basis, like contextual.
Yes.
If the need arises to when we want to, convey a point about something, but we can just talk about it without saying what happens, that's when the spoilers will come in. So
Yeah. So we're not gonna give like mini warning because sometimes I realize that when we say spoilers, there's like a baba-side effect. Like because people say spoilers, people will be like, oh, I want to discover more about that. Or it stays intact within you the moment we say spoiler, and then things to come, those things to come stay longer with you just because we give you a warning that it's a spoiler. It's like a anti-productive kind of thing. So
Yeah.
we're gonna see as we go along, and you're just gonna understand for the sake of context. But I hope it's more about you understanding what we're talking about than you remembering what we're talking about. So when you do get to watching these things, when we talk about maybe at that time you don't even realize that you already know. Sometimes I watch some videos, I'm like, oh okay, I already saw that apparently as a spoiler, but it didn't bother me while I was watching it because nobody tells that it was a spoiler or I didn't care to. So yeah.
Yeah.
Because for one thing, in my experience, I dabble. I want to be a film buff, but I dabble a bit in horror, like only recently, this past 2 or 3 years. And because of that, because of this one YouTuber called Ryan Hollinger or something, his videos does contain spoilers, but because of the spoilers, it helps me get my feet wet into the world of horror. If it wasn't for those, I won't be even touching it because before that, I think horror is just like one specific area when there's more to horror and it's more interesting than I thought. And in that context, I kind of need the spoilers to like to understand more of to see the bigger picture, what behind the hindrance that stopped me from watching horror in the first place. So yeah, that's where we stand with that. So please don't get all right up if there's like spoilers here and there. We're just gonna let it naturally flow.
Because sometimes it's inevitable. You cannot be, it's a wild world out there. You cannot avoid spoilers all the time. Sometimes it just happens. So
Yeah. Alright. So for today's topic, we're gonna start off with how we ended last year.
Yep.
So like before this, I have an afro, you know.
Yep.
And the reason is because I was like waiting for the final event or the last of a program we go to every second and fourth week of a month, and it's called Wayang at Budiman.
yeah.
So this, like, you can show the pamphlet. Wait.
Yeah,
So-
they said
So Wayang at Budiman, like it's more like a program that we go to where there's refreshments included or whatever. We watch the movie, a movie that they're showing that night, and towards the end we gather around. We just talk about the movie, whatever aspects. You can talk about the technical things. You can talk about the plot. You talk about the lessons. You can even talk about political stuff.
and you can even add your own anecdotes to whatever you're watching.
Yeah.
That's fine too.
So it can
It's fair game, yeah.
you can see how it affects you personally, and it's very interesting. And we've been there for like what 7 years.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a long time. So
So expect more movies that might come from here in this show.
so
Yeah.
in this program, well, we have these things called slots, right? So in this case, the slot is um
This one. Yeah.
trilogy Demam Disco. So
It translates to uh Disco Fever Trilogy in English.
right.
Yeah.
So here we have three movies that we watch like it's like the week the week before, right? In this case, the schedule have to change a bit because of like the nature of the slot. So the week before we watched this movie called Tony Manero, which is you know, based on the name of the character played by John Travolta in Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah.
Tony Manero. It's about a guy who's trying to imitate that character. We're gonna go deeper into that after this. Okay, and then we watch the next week we watch the movie Forever Fever.
It's not the next week, it's actually the next day. This one is a special slot in particular.
Oh right, I forgot. Yeah, it's the next day.
Yeah.
Forget it. It's the final week of the year.
So this one is a special kind of
Right.
yeah.
So the
slot,
second
yeah.
movie is a movie. Oh yeah, the movie was from Chile, Tony Manero, a 2008 film, and then there's a
Let's directed by Pablo Larraín.
right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
there's a second movie from Singapore, directed by Glenn Goei.
And
We-
started
Okay, I started Forever Fever from 1998. It's more like a melodrama comedy something.
Oh yeah, fun fact. It also has an alternate title for international release. From what we can gather here, it's called That's the Way I Like It. So that's another title that you might heard of if you're not from, if you were like from other territories outside Singapore. So yeah,
Alright.
just
Okay.
side note.
So then the final movie is of course Saturday Night Fever. And what's interesting about this is when I have the hair, of course, like I said, and then I cut it off by the end of the year because I can. I like to keep my hair high and short, just two styles. But actually, we broke our virginity with Saturday Night Fever for the first time.
Yep.
Actually, we never watched this movie before this, and I'm so glad that we watch it with the program that we've been to for so long
And with
for
the
the first time.
yeah, with
right?
the awesome crowd too. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's something that I'm gonna get into that surprising about Saturday Night Fever that people might not have realized. Like even people who have watched it before. So yeah. So that's the movie, of course, with John Travolta from 1977. Okay, so let's get into it, shall we? So what do you want to start? You want to start with Forever
Let's
Fever?
just go with the order of screening.
Alright.
So let's start with Tony Manero. So okay, this is a simple synopsis from IMDb. A man is obsessed with Johnny Travolta's disco dancing character from Saturday Night Fever, and obsessed is an understatement,
Alright.
right?
So there's an aspect of the movie that I think going in blind makes it so much more fun. So I think we don't kind of get into like that side of it. We're just gonna talk about the aspect of him trying to imitate Tony Manero, and let's keep it at that. You know that side of it I'm talking about, right?
But I want to talk about that side though.
I know, but I want to keep it like a. I think some movies are like better when you go in and then you don't know what that is. You watch no trailers, you know nothing about it, and you watch it. Oh, damn, this is that kind of movie.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is yeah. I mean, when
This is
you
one of those.
you heard of the name and you've been desensitized by Hollywood biopics, you would have a certain expectation of a biopic. But like what I said from the synopsis, it's not a biopic per se. Maybe it is, but it's like about a person trying to be another person.
Right.
And so it's like a biopic of that person, not the person the person is trying to be.
This
Right.
this is like an interesting year for movies because we watched like a franchise essentially started, but we didn't know that it's gonna go this big. The MCU, which is Iron Man, you know, it was released on that year, and MCU is not yet a thing. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is not yet a thing.
Yeah.
But Iron Man is out there. And then we see a franchise dying. The Mummy came out of nowhere. The third movie or whichever it is like came out. It was terrible. At least like we coincidentally we went out to dinner earlier before we do this recording, and we saw on the TV on the restaurant they were playing that movie, the third Mummy, where it's like it's supposed to be in China or something. The movie, I don't know what it's trying to do, but it looks so boring and bland, and it failed to do what it tries to do. Like for example, they try to if I'm not mistaken, Brendan Fraser, who's the main actor of the Mummy since the beginning, he is supposed to be like an older guy, you know, supposed to be in his like late 40s, about to enter 50s, and then he's depicted as a father passing down the torch. Yes, there's like another character who's supposed to be like the next, you know, Mummy guy, and this is very similar to the premise of A Good Day to Die Hard, right? Okay, by the way, I'm gonna go to a bunch of tangents because that's how I talk, so try to focus here. The thing is, Brendan Fraser still looks good though. He doesn't look that old at that in that movie. So in this case, the casting is off, meaning that maybe they should wait more years or do more makeup on him to make him look really really old. And Brendan Fraser have to act the part, actually act like an old guy for him to be able to you know, effectively make us think, oh man, our Mummy guy is gone, and this new guy is gonna be the next Mummy guy. But you know, as time would tell, the franchise died. Then it's very like surprising. Like I said, MCU rising up, the Mummy dying, and then there's this movie out of nowhere that we didn't know, of course, at the time because we're not from there. That apparently came out the same year, Tony Manero.
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh, it can be same year. Oh yeah. I just
yeah, it's
noticed.
2008.
All right.
It's 2008.
Ah. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you know?
So
So I was trying to understand why you're talking about the Mummy.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
And then, yeah, there it is.
so what I'm trying to say here is that when things happen, you have to understand the landscape of not only the geopolitical state, is not just the location at the time, also the time itself. You like cinemas move a certain direction, cinema as a whole, not just Hollywood, as a
Yeah.
whole, all over the world are moving in a certain direction. And so the all the references gonna be like a bit different, and this is very very alien to us because, dude, have you ever watched a movie from Chile before? I haven't watched enough Spanish movies, let alone Chile. They do speak Spanish, by the way, but they're not Spain, they're in South America. So it's pretty interesting to see something so alien to me, and I don't know, it's depicting I think the 70s, but the movie is made in 2008. So in terms of 70s, I don't know the state, but I think it's in a state of some kind of dictatorship or something.
Yeah, I think there is like communism going on. I think
Yeah.
in the context of the
So
yeah.
the movie follows a guy who I think kinda look like a Al Pacino type, you know, like the typical character he plays, like for example the movie what do you call that movie?
Which one?
Scarface.
Scarface, yes.
So
Okay, so this guy, the main character is called Raul Peralta, played by Alfredo Castro. So that's the Tony Manero wannabe. And you talk about the sunshiny parts if you can find one.
alright, okay.
Go ahead.
So he's a 52-year-old man. So he's very like he is, I wouldn't say down on his luck, more like he is frustrated to where he is right now in life. So when the movie came out, like this is a meta movie, by the way. So the movie actually exists just like the rest of us in the world. The Saturday Night Fever release, and he enjoyed the F out of the movie, especially the character Tony Manero. So he would do anything, I mean anything, to be him.
Uh,
And he's also
Yeah.
like on top of being frustrated in terms of his dreams, he's also sexually frustrated. So yeah, it's a weird movie.
Yeah. Emphasize on anything. He would do anything to get what he wants. He's what would we comparing him to, like a robot, right? Being
Yeah,
programmed.
a
A
machine.
machine. Yeah, a machine.
In the discussion when I went to Wai Budiman, I said that he was more like an animal. You know what I mean? Like animals, they don't have the mind of their own. They just have a brain. So their brain is like mostly work on their instincts, right?
Yes.
So it's like, oh, I need to eat, so they eat. Or I need to sleep, so they sleep, right? Even when they cry, it's not because they develop the emotions to cry. It's more like things physically hurt them to the point that they physically cry.
Yeah.
That's it. So, and then a guy sort of correct me. I don't know, because it's my opinion. I don't know if it's like a correction, more like he convinced me that it's not as it seems. He says that instead of being an animal, it's more like a psychopath because he is. He doesn't really care about people around him, which makes this movie work really well. At the same time, again, when people watch this movie, people are kind of scared of the main character. Meaning that people in the room, I was watching it. But me personally, I don't find him scary because he's just like follow his instincts when he does what he does. It's not really like you know, a criminal with intent trying to do harm to other people. It's more like an animal, like I said. But then when it says a psychopath, I think if I think more about it, in fact, we talk about it afterwards. I think it's not actually like a animal. It's not just a psychopath. I think it's more akin to a machine because a machine is they're programmable, you know, but an animal, when they're programmable, is like they're more like their habit, right? So they keep doing what they need to do to survive. But a machine, they're programmable to do that one objective, and then in the pursuit of that, it would do whatever that is needed. So I think whether it's like a wild animal, a psychopath, or a machine, to me, I can finally go to the conclusion that it's more like a machine. That is just so hell bent on that one objective that like everything else like is second place or third place or whatever.
Yep. And when we were discussing on that day, it was like during a dictatorship of some dictator, and it feels like this character is
A reflection.
a reflection of what he's doing, the dictator is doing. So it's like he doesn't care as long as he got what he gets what he wants. He gets what he gets, and just live his life. And if it doesn't work out, whatever. But still, it doesn't change the fact that he did some stuff to get what he wants, and it's not good stuff.
Okay, getting back to the character, right? I mean, no, not the character. Now I want to go to something else about cinematography. The camera is in your face. When I say in your face, like in your face. You know what I mean?
Like this, in your face.
And it moves like this, like this. Oh, it moves, and it's not shaky cam. It's handheld. And yeah, we're gonna get to that one day. I freaking hate shaky cam. And to keep it concise, can you like camera was it like this? Sorry, right. So like when I this is just to keep at the point, what I'm trying to say here is that when I think of shaky cam, I know like handheld can have like shakiness in it, and shaky cam is like a product of like a handheld, or the other way around. Sorry if I'm not good with the definitions, but when I think of shaky cam, when people say shaky cam, I think of this. Here's the camera, they're like rolling, and then they're like, or they post edit it so that the picture shake. afterwards, right? But when I think of handheld is that they just hold the camera and just not naturally shake. So it's like that. So this movie uses that technique, like handheld all the time. And I think it's meant to emulate the the feel and the harshness of the political climate at the time in Chile.
Yeah, and also, despite we're following the main character, we kind of hate him. We don't give a crap about him. Like, it's like we're watching a sad little man doing sad little things,
Dude, keep
right?
keep your opinion to yourself. I actually like him. It's like he's literally me, except it's not, because I don't have the guts to do what he does, but he does. It's like when you look at, you know, a character like from God of War, for example, you look at Kratos, right?
Yeah.
You wish you can just beat up all the people that you hate, but you can't because there's repercussions. You can go to jail for that. So in this case, he actually can because of the political nature of where he is and how he conduct himself. He's able to do what he did, you know, the things that he does because of, you know, various aspects. But anyways, like to me, I don't hate him. Again, I see him as a machine. I don't hate a machine as much as maybe I would hate the programmer. So in this case, maybe I would hate the dictator if I get to know him. I read more about him and what he does, what he did to the people of Chile. But as far as the machine, I can either admire how efficient it is, or I can be like, you know, this isn't good programming and the programmer sucks. So yeah, in
Yeah.
this case, I like the machine.
Yeah, I mean, he has his own perspective because he connects with the character more than I do. But personally, as a guy who thinks this guy is something, I feel like when I'm following his journey, I'm like, why am I following his this person's journey? I'm like, I'm not comfortable with this. And if that's the what the director is going for, congratulations, you did it. You SOB, you did it. Damn.
Like remember, you can say damn and hell now. You can say other things, but damn and hell is fine.
Yes, YouTube is watching.
Sorry, Susan. Sorry, Susan.
Sorry,
Like,
Wachiki.
we cast. Like it's we go past the 30 seconds, you know. But anyways, back to what we were saying. Um, um, when it comes to the okay. First off, I want to go back to cinematography, but before I go there, I want to say this. The character, which is Raul, who's trying to be Tony Manero. Um, yeah, the story want us to follow him. It's a very character driven movie, but at the same time, he's a psychopath. So the more you watch him, the more you want to distance yourself from him. You want to keep a distance away from him. It's like I have to follow him because that's how that's the aspect the perspective of the movie. It is character driven, so it focuses on his journey, but at the same time, he is so, you know, for lack of a better word, evil, or he is so, like, what do you call it, not in tune with rationality or of the normal people. He lacks courtesy and all that. That you can, I don't want to be this guy. You know, I don't want to know more. I don't want to see what he does next. At least that's the consensus. Like I said again, I like his character personally. But the thing is, the more you watch, the more you hate and the more you want to distance away. But the story just follow his character because it's a character piece. So it's like the movie is trying to keep things claustrophobic. Like, okay, now connecting to the the cinematography, when we say it's in your face, in this case it works because we want, like, literally want to keep our distance away from him, but then as a character piece, the camera focuses on his face, so you're like, you can't help but to follow his journey while
Yeah.
you're like, please movie end. You know what I mean? Like, oh my god.
The director Stockholm syndrome us, man. He did.
Yeah.
And it works for what he's going for. So congratulations, Pablo Lorraine.
So the thing about the thing about this movie Tony Manero is like again, it's a movie from 2008 where cinema is slowly changing, even though people didn't realize it yet. But then at the same time, we go into a movie of which we will never ever like dabble in before. Like it's from Chile. Like I haven't seen anything from there, and I'm like, for one, I didn't know that the another country like Mexico, whatever, that speaks Spanish. And for second, I'm like, wow, like this is one of those, when you want to watch a movie from outside of your country, of course you want to watch like a good one. So in this case, it's not the best one, maybe not the best one, but it's a damn good one that I can like. Wow, it's like maybe I should one day discover more Chile movies, and I'm glad that this is my first. At the same time, I'm not glad because the movie is so
So bleak.
yeah.
So despite his his interest in a very colorful era of movie, the movie is drab as hell. So
The and again, we mustn't forget that this is very inspired by Saturday Night Fever, and it has a lot of funny equivalencies.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
like some of it are akin to that movie, and some of it is like the opposite, and they play around with it, which is what we're gonna say for the second movie that we're gonna talk about tonight, the Singapore one. So this movie, they did this. I do again. I don't want to get
Let's remind them again what it's called. It's called,
Tony Manero.
that's the first movie. We're talking about the second
No,
movie now,
yeah,
right?
we're talking about it after this. I want to end it here. I want to
Okay,
end.
okay,
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 okay, end it.
okay. So because we don't want to get into spoilers, let me say, my final verdict on this movie. I want to say this. I kind of disagree with putting movies in numerical, rating. But for the sake of conversation, and some people want to keep the mind at is like, oh, is this good movie or not, I'm gonna give this movie an 8.5. And it's only because um personally, my preference is the kind of movie that I can just turn on and watch. It's like, wow, this is good. And I'm not saying watch while I'm on my phone. I'm just saying I totally drop everything down and watch, because it's a hell of a ride. It's like riding on like a roller coaster. I hate roller coasters, but I love this movie.
Like he said, yeah, numerical rating is something else, but yeah, for this conversation, I'm gonna give it, I think, around the same one as you,
8.5.
8.5.
All right, 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
So,
So-
second movie, let's go.
Yeah, you start off.
This
Forever
is
Fever.
Forever Fever, directed by
Yeah.
Glenn Gui.
Glenn
Yes,
Gui.
Glenn Gui.
Another name. That's the way I like it. 1980.
So this one is a doozy because, man, it's such a loving tribute to Saturday Night Fever, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Very, very. And it doesn't help. It also helps that the lead actor is very, very charismatic and very funny and very Bruce Lee like, because he really likes Bruce Lee. Like even more than the Tony Manero in Saturday
Yeah,
Night
which we
Fever,
will get into.
which we will get into. But yeah, I mean, it's set in Singapore. It's because it's a Singaporean movie, and you know what? I can't think of something right now, but I'm just gonna say it's very, very feel good, and you're a terrible person if you hate it. I can't think of something right now. Take it away, Shafiq.
To me, you can hate it. I don't think you're the person for hating it if you do, because it's more like a feel good sunshine in the rain kind of movie. Yeah, it does have its down moments, which I said the genre that I think is melancholy other than comedy. Um, and the
Melodrama is melodrama.
melodrama. Alright. So it is set in a normal Singapore, like normal economy, capitalist, and nothing like not so harsh capitalism or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just a normal Singapore. It just so happens that our main character is kind of poor.
And it's also set in the same era as Saturday Night Fever, I think. 70s or 80s like that.
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken.
So no phones, no like phones or nothing like that. But the movie is what do you call that thing? It's very light-hearted. I
Yeah,
would
very
say.
lighthearted, yeah.
So for people who don't like light-hearted movies, that is not what do you call it thing, embedded in reality. Like for example, like a Miss Normal movie, Little Miss Sunshine. You should watch that as a good road movie. So this movie is one of those, like, I would say, I'm not trying to be racist here, but I live in Asia, so yeah, I get to kind of be racist here. It's a very Asian movie in the sense that even when it tries to go to like a darker shade, it goes back to the lighter shade. It's like
Yeah,
it
yeah,
reminds
yeah,
you
yeah,
that,
yeah.
oh, you're here to have fun. You're watching a movie. You know, it follows the movie as entertainment only kind of approach. So yeah. So when you talk about the main character or the main plot or whatever.
I mean, it's just the guy who is trying to.
I think, like, okay, if you, in case you forgot, this is what I remember. Okay, this
I forgot.
guy, he works on like in a
Grocery store.
grocery store, right? So
It's a supermarket, something like that. Yeah.
supermarket, something along that line. The thing is, obviously he doesn't make that much money, and then on the way home one day, he has no goals, by the way. He has no goals in life. On the way like home one day, he found a bike, and he wanted to get the bike, and it cost a lot of money.
Yes.
And then he's like, no, so I don't think realistic I'm gonna get the bike. So that's it. He just live his life. And then one day, he and his friends, they go out usually in the night. So he and his friends one day, like after they go to his favorite cafe or kopitiam or whatever, they go to the cinema, right?
Yeah.
So they want to watch what's there right now. Like at the time, Saturday Night Fever was
an in movie tribute to Saturday Night Fever. It's not really Saturday Night Fever.
Is it?
It's called Forever Fever. The movie is called Forever Fever.
Yeah, the movie in that movie is called Forever Fever. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So let's just say this Saturday Night Fever movie. Let's just, for the sake of conversation, let's just say it's Saturday Night Fever. The movie like was like just came out at the time, you know. Like this is at the what I would say, the, what do you call it thing? Should I say adolescence, or what was before adolescence?
Let's just call that for now.
Yeah, it's like it just started, you know, it just came out. It's not like people didn't catch the fever yet, so to speak. It just got out. So this guy,
you can use it.
he has already have like a I would say a stigma, you know, towards like people who dance, where there's like they're like straight up. They go along the lines of being a
Queer.
or whatever, which you know, that's his you know, opinion, I guess. But that's the main character is like what it is. What is it, like people who are like kind of like soft. Only those people dance. Like, why would I even like care about this kind of thing? So despite that, his friends convinced him to watch it, just simply because they want to watch something that night, and they decided on that movie, you know, because it's a normal democratic state, and they're very, you know, they practice their democracy, and they're like, oh, let's just, we all want to watch this movie, although you, the one guy, doesn't want to watch it, so they watch it. And then the friends, some of them laugh, some of them just watch the movie, some of them even sleep
And
and play
then
around with the popcorn. But
he's infatuated by the Tony Manero-like character.
Yeah.
Up to a point where something magical happened.
Yeah.
Ish, kind of.
I mean,
I'm not gonna spoil it, but
yeah, I don't think this is, I don't think this is that kind of movie like the first one. I think we can kind of spoil it or whatever.
It's basically his figment of imagination came out
Yeah, yeah.
in
So
the form of that character. Yeah.
like he literally imaginatively came out of the screen, and he talks to this character as like a sort of a
Confidant.
yeah, confident, more so like a mentor,
Mentor, yeah,
mentor
mentor.
type
Yes,
of
yes,
deal.
mentor.
Because like I said, this guy has no dream. But oh, we forgot to mention somewhere in the movie, in the earlier parts of the movie, it shows his room, right? There's like Bruce Lee poster and everything.
Yeah.
Just like in Saturday Night Fever apparently. Because again, at this point we haven't watched Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah.
There's like a dance competition, and there's a prize, winning prize of 5,000 Singaporean dollar.
Which so happens to be the same amount as the bag that he wants to buy.
Yeah, yeah. But at the time it's like, no, yeah, like I said, like he doesn't like dancing. He has a stigma against people who dances, so he, crumple up the paper and throw it in the trash. So only after he watched the movie he realized that, dude, dancing is legit, like dancing as a whole.
Yeah.
I should learn dancing, and maybe I can enter the competition and win that bike. You know what I mean? So he, you know, goes on and like try to go on a like a dancing class so he can eventually join the competition. And as a partner, he decided to call one of his friends who happens to be the one girl. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's that kind of movie. And it's like, oh, I need a dance partner. Let's partner up for this competition. Let's do. Let's go every week. Let's do dances. Is it every week or every night? I think it's every night or something. Every night let's go
Yeah.
to this dance school, and let's dance together so we can prepare for this competition.
Okay. Well, we talked quite a lot about the some of the plot and narrative, which we won't go any further because you need to watch the movie yourself.
I didn't say you need.
You can
You
you
should.
should watch the
You
movie
should, because
yourself.
it's kind of fun. It's kind of okay.
It's a light breezy movie, and
Yeah.
when you watch it, you get to learn about Singapore during the 70s and how they're viewing certain subcultures, and there's also like a subplot which is like quite important to the character, and how maybe Singapore itself is treating that subplot theme.
Yeah.
I mean, they're pretty open to it. This is, yeah.
So yeah, when he wants to get a bike, it's more like a general motivation of the character. But as the story progresses along, there's more to it than that.
Yeah, yeah.
The thing about the movie is that it's a very like a fun movie, a light-hearted movie. There's jokes everywhere. It's like some funny characters, some fun moments.
But there's also that expectation that you kind of have, we kind of sort of relate to when it comes to being an Asian family, like your parents asking you to be what they want you to be instead of you being in control of your own life and all that.
Yeah.
And the need to be free of to do whatever we want without anyone's controlling us.
Yeah.
It does. Maybe everyone feels that, but in this particular movie, it captures that in the Asian kind of light, and it's interesting to see how they melt that with the theme of the disco craze.
So one thing to note when it comes to this Singaporean culture, and I think to a certain extent it also applies to other Chinese people all over the world, like in Taiwan, Hong Kong, and whatnot, in Tibet or whatever. This when it comes to like more so what we know from Singaporeans, like Singaporeans and more so them than anywhere else, like any other Chinese family, which do have some sort of like familiarity to this, similarity to this. Okay, is this, they are expected to live under one roof. Like, okay, let's say I'm a 30-year-old and I have a job. I even like get married or something. I am still expected to me and my wife, and if I have kids in the future, if I want to have kids, to stay in the same house with the father and mother, with the grandmother, with like all of them. They stay there till the end of time. So they take care of each other. It's a normal size house. When it comes to Singapore, it's a normal size house. It's
Yeah.
like that. The houses are not that big. If you look at the map, they're way smaller than Malaysia.
Yes.
But somehow they're able to keep the the structures very efficient, similar to Japan, but to me personally, I think much more efficiently because they're much smaller, but they were able to become like a bustling, like
Metropolitan kind of.
and
Yeah.
the very like very very. That's a rich country. Right? It's one of those rich country which the politicians say we are rich, and then the people do feel rich in certain extent. The extent maybe they feel like we all have our different struggles. I don't want to go there right now, but what I do want to say is so he has to come home early on. He has to come home by 7 p.m. You know, where to some people it's like, are you a kid? That's the thing. This main character, by the way, his name is Hawk, played by Adrian Pang. He is not a kid. He's like a 30-year-old something guy, and he has a job at the convenience store in the supermarket. So it may be weird for people who don't know beforehand that this is how they work in a typical Singaporean household. So it why I say this, because it's important to understand why the characters start to like do things differently, like coming home earlier, like sleep earlier and all that. Why he finds it like really important to be there on time, and how to balance all these things up. Like in Spider-Man, and one of the most interesting things is seeing how Peter Parker try to balance out the life of being a superhero like Spider-Man, Peter Parker, and like Peter Parker who has a job, like a guy who goes to a job, to also have to be Peter Parker to Aunt May. He has to also be Peter Parker the student. Also, Peter Parker in a costume as another character, because like he try to fight his confidence problem when he's with the costume as Spider-Man. He's Spider-Man. He's an actual alter ego. So in that case, you have to like struggle with juggling for
Yeah.
life within one human. So in this case, it's kind of similar in that sense.
So actually, to be honest, there's not much to talk about in this movie, but because like what we said, established, this movie is a very light-hearted movie, and if you need to feel good, or if you need some cheese in your life, you can watch this
Oh,
movie.
it's a cheesy movie.
It's
Yeah,
very
it's very
cheesy.
cheesy.
Yes.
Like I said, it's a really Asian movie. To me, the last Asian movie that I watched that I think is like people like it more than me, that I don't really like, but I can get why people like it, is Snowpiercer.
Yeah.
What I mean by Asian is this. So if you look at character, for example, you look at the character of Tilda Swinton, right? She's like the shoe woman. This isn't it. This isn't a shoe. This is a whatever. I don't really like character. So you see her costume, you see the teeth. You see, it's like, fuck. What I'm trying to get here, what I want you to understand is, when I say really Asian, it's like they trying to like, it's like a caricature. It's like they try to hone in, oh, this is an evil character, or this is a bully, or this is like a really nice woman, or this is a widow, or this is like a really a rich woman that try to get this guy to marry his daughter. It's like that. It's like they really look that part in costume and makeup, everything, to the point that we're like, yeah, we get it, movie. You don't have to like, be in.
You don't have to be a movie,
Yeah, you can just be like, these characters have layers, and they just so happens to be more like this, rather than that. When you see something like Dunkirk, for example, which is a movie that is not character driven, by the way, it's event driven.
It's event driven, yes.
But you see layers of characters, especially like sorry, Cillian Murphy. Like his characters have layers. You learn more and more about him in his backstory. So in that sense, this movie lacks that, because it follows the Asian style of telling movie. Don't get me wrong, there are Asian movies that like beats you up with reality that is applicable to everyone internationally, that is outside of the Asian region. But this is one of those movies that is catered to the market of like what Asians would like to see.
So again, so if you like some cheese and you like a cheesy rendition of Saturday Night Fever, and you just want to have a good time and appreciate Singaporean culture, this is the movie for you. So to plug it into the ratings, maybe because this is like, I'm gonna give it maybe like 7.5 out of 10
Alright.
because yeah.
Okay. Oh, I forgot to tell you one selling point of this movie. The dance is really good. Like Eden Pang really danced the hell
Yeah,
out of that disco
yeah,
floor.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
in fact, surprisingly enough, we will find out later after that, there's more emphasis in dancing in this movie than Saturday Night Fever itself.
Yes.
It's like, dude, like, this guy can really dance. I mean, he can depict a character that can't dance at first, but then he really does. One of those movies where in this sense he follows the Western style, in the sense of like, like the typical Disney thing. Or he doesn't only look good, he doesn't have only chemistry with this character, or supposedly like most of them bad actors. But at the same time, they're like, he can also sing, he can also dance. They're like, they can actually do that thing that the movie talks about. The movie does not gaslight you. They don't talk about like, oh, how he's good at dancing, and then when he actually shows dancing, the dancing is bad. No, the dancing is actually phenomenal. Like, really, really good. It's just that everything around it is kind of like holding it back, and it feels kind of cheesy beyond that. And there are like some things that going on in the third act that doesn't make sense. Like in this particular scene where he was supposed to see his brother in hospital, but then the main bully character tried to stop him, the antagonist tried to stop him.
That
And then
kind of stops the movie.
then he fight like Bruce Lee. Yeah, that's where Bruce Lee comes in. So he can get to his brother. Where in reality, you can just say, my brother is dying, let me go to the hospital, let's fight later, and that bully probably gonna back off.
Yeah,
Like
so kind of, it's like that's the
yeah.
Horde shooing in
Yeah.
Bruce Lee reference.
Yeah, it just
a tribute
because the main thing was to entertain. When you pay for ticket for that movie, you're gonna have some fun.
You don't want to be sad all the time.
Yeah, that's where it's going for.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's to the detriment of the quality of the movie overall. So to plug it in, I must say it's a 6 out of 10 for me. It's not the kind of movie for me, but I do enjoy watching it with the people, over there.
Now, the meat. Why this trilogy of movies is being shown in the first place? It's the third movie, and those two movies are inspired by this one, and it's called Saturday Night Fever, directed by John Badham. Badham. I don't know how to say this last name. Badham. Yeah, let's go with Badham. John Badham. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, take it away.
From what I understand, we can have like a more than Wikipedia level, like kind of like a concise life story of the people who make films, as an introduction by the host of Wayang Budiman. Like in this case is Dr. Norman. Like he's like a lecturer in UiTM.
My former lecturer.
Yeah. So he gives like a introduction to the like I said, the makers of the film, usually the director. And from what I understand, Badham is not really like a
big time director.
Yeah, it's like a mainstay kind of director.
He started off as a TV director, right?
Yeah, yeah. And then these other movies are kind of like a dud. And I have to say, this movie is too. Because if you watch it, you're gonna realize it's a product of its time. One of it in particular is, I didn't know, if you see the marketing and if you hear people talk about it, maybe people who talk about it, even they forget that this movie is kind of horny. There's like sexual, like there's straight up like women, there's and the same naked woman dancing multiple times throughout the movie, like half naked, like with just the panties on.
Oh, because in the context of the era, it is like, I think it's like a sexual revolution kind of
Yeah,
era.
it's a very hedonistic era in the
So
US.
they're trying to peel off that layer of things that actually happened at the time, which is everyone is very promiscuous, everyone is very rebellious,
Yeah.
and yeah.
I mean, the point that I'm getting into is this. When you see, when you hear staple movies like this, like of its time, like years from now, I think people are gonna talk about the movie, the Gravity movie by Sandra Bullock, right? I haven't seen the movie myself, unfortunately, not even in cinemas. Um, like I didn't get the chance to, but from what I understand, it tries to be like a really, realistic take on like what it would be like to man a station or satellite or something in space. So years from now, I say 30 years from now, people gonna think of Gravity as like that one movie that maybe it didn't define.
Drink break.
Alright, sorry.
But you may continue talking though, what I take my own room.
Alright.
Continue.
So it may be like just another movie. I could be wrong. But okay. Let's give a better example. Avatar, for example, the blue one.
The James Cameron one.
The James Cameron one. So the movie like
Alright.
years ago like was a phenomenon, right? So people gonna take it as an advancement in the technology of filmmaking. So in that sense, the movie is a staple. Maybe Gravity is just another movie, but that movie Avatar for sure is a staple. People can't stop talking about it. So in this case, Saturday Night Fever is that
Yes.
during its era.
Yep.
But don't be fooled. It is not family friendly.
No.
Be warned. There are like many like
Yeah, go ahead.
there are many themes that are kind of adult.
And it's kind of wild to know that this movie was the most famous thing that everyone talks about, even in Malaysia. Like everyone really loves the disco. The disco fever pretty much caught on in Malaysia. And if we watch the oldest Malaysian movies, they are very Western influence and very disco influence. Don't you think so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It defines the time.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It defines that time.
It caught on in Malaysia, so it's expressing that this profane and obscene of a movie caught on even in our very kind of, you can call it sort of conservative-ish country.
So
Yeah.
like
So,
like I said just now. Yeah, it defines its time, but it's that time.
Yep.
It died now, and if you watch the movie, you know what I'm talking about. And
Yeah.
again, if you want to watch movie, watch alone, or if you're an adult, you have a girlfriend or wife or something, watch together, just the two of you. Don't watch with children. As I'm saying, just because it's an old movie and a staple and it's famous and it was mainstream, by the way, doesn't mean that it's safe to watch for everyone.
Yep.
Just be warned. But anyways, when you get into the movie, this is what I love about movies that are from countries outside of my country. They do not clean up the streets if the streets are dirty, which in this case it really adds, the setting really adds to the movie. It's in
Yep.
New York, and New York, if you've seen enough footage, you know that New York is kind of like dirty. And if you live in Malaysia, you're gonna see that Malaysia is like basically mini New York. Yes, the entire country I think is smaller than the state of New York.
Mind blown.
So the trash. I don't see rats in them, but the trash and the unclean alleyways adds to the atmosphere of the story that is telling.
And also it adds up to the struggle that the characters have to go through to navigate their lives and try to get out of a rut such as the place that they're in. And the characters are Italian Americans, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
Italian Americans.
And narrative wise, I also love one thing about this era of movies. Like in regards to what he said about cleanliness, the story is also not clean. I mean, in terms of its pacing, in terms of its dialogue there's no through line. What is someone saying? It's like, you know, um, one conversation could go to many other direction, and you weren't ever gonna predict what the direction was. Next thing you know, someone could be on the bridge.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, someone's gonna be in the car doing some things. Next thing you know, someone could move stuff to another house.
And then they just go back to the dance floor. So
Yeah, it's the dance floor. I mean, since we're talking about the dancing, I have to say all three movies, even the very raw and depressing Tony Manero and Forever Fever, and including this one, and this one especially, the dance, man. Mwah.
yeah,
It's like, I remember what one of the audience member from what Wayan Budiman, which is my lecturer,
Cik Saad.
Cik Saad, yeah, Mr. Saad, Omar. He, from what I get, because he's a theater practitioner, the dance moves doesn't make sense. It's a pile of crap. But since the one who's doing it is who's the actor again? John Travolta,
John Travolta.
and he's a good looking. He's rising. It's a rising name. It's a rising talent at the time. No one gives a crap because he looks cool as hell doing those dance.
Yeah, I think it kind of like applies only to him.
Yep.
And if anyone else does it, it won't work. You know, you have to look really, really good. Maybe like Ronald DiCaprio. Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah, maybe if you look that good or something and you're younger Leonardo, maybe it would work. But the thing is, yeah, like the dances are not practical because even if you were to, because it's depicted that he goes out every Saturday to the club, to the discotheque,
Yeah.
to dance. It's like, I mean, that's competition. Like as depicted in the movie Forever Fever, the Singaporean movie apparently. Again, this is the first time we watch it. That's a competition, but that's not the emphasis of the movie. Surprisingly, not even the dances.
Yeah.
But when they do dance, the dance is like he's entering a competition all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you're so good at dancing, but there's no way in hell even you can do that each and every week and still keep your hip. You gotta break it, man. You gotta break it.
You know what? I think the modern break dancing with more ridiculous choreography makes more sense than what he's doing. Do you think so? Because I've seen like people, going around YouTube and posting those videos. Like I've seen like crazy dance moves, but I think those crazy dance moves work well as to see in real life people doing that to as means of escapism than what John Travolta is doing in this movie in particular.
Okay. As a non-dancer myself, I cannot attest to that.
It just from my
Because it's
observation. I also
very-
don't dancer myself.
It's very subjective.
Yeah, yeah.
And maybe it can be objective because it's physical, right? To people who maybe try out different dances.
Yeah.
But in terms of stand us, being able to last throughout the times, like stay relevant. Yeah, it makes much more sense to do break dances because even the 80s break dances, you look at it now and still like that looks kind of cool. You know what I mean? But obviously the dances that John Travolta did and then his style, it's not even like I don't think it's like a realistic dance. I think it's like
It's choreographed especially for the movie.
fictional dance just for the movie. It's very impractical and it doesn't like I said last the time. It doesn't like age like wine, so to speak. It's more like a dance for the movie and only for the movie and maybe for the era. It may not be so practical for you to go that hard for that kind of like dance style.
Going back to the through line thing that I said, which it has none. Like also what you said, like even though it is focused on the dance, but also it's focused more also on the life of the characters more so than the dancers. The dancers is like like escapism, like how we are watching movies, like how we watch
Yeah.
Forever Fever. Those like another different type of movie. But this one, that is like that's why the rest is also good, because the reality of the life is very harsh.
Uh,
Yeah.
so I would say is it non-diegetic, but I would say this. The movie stops being a movie when he dance, meaning that the dance itself does not progress the movie.
Yeah.
Other than maybe the dance where he does in the competition,
Yes.
which is surprisingly unremarkable. Like throughout the movie, the dances are really good, but the competition itself, like weirdly enough, they do like a
But that's the reason why that is so.
yeah,
And it works to progress the movie along. And
yeah,
I'm not even mad. It's not even about
the dance.
the dance. It is about the character navigating his life and how he's trying
It's like
to be a better
his
person.
relationship with his dance partner at the time more so than the dance itself.
Yeah.
And then there are things that happen, which I think it goes to spoiler territory, and this movie is old. But for people who forgot what the movie is like and just want to not be spoiled, we're not gonna say, you know, the what happened in the competition. But all I can say is this, is that the movie is so jumbled up, but at the same time, it's so adult that it kind of like treat people intelligently. Like he doesn't need to show the resolution to each and everything that happened.
Yeah.
And whereas like for example in the movie Forever Fever, it does that thing. There's an ending, and then they have like that you know that small paragraph to say what happened. This character go to here, this character to go to there.
Yeah,
You know?
it's kind of funny, but it's not necessary. Actually.
Yeah, it's not necessary. It's to me it always cheapens the movie almost all the time. So it's very exposition heavy. But in terms of this movie, you just have to pay attention to the string of dialogues that they say to know where they're going.
Yeah.
Surprisingly enough, even in the most like jumble, I would say, by intentionally movies like for example by Quentin Tarantino, like this movie is even like more chaotic than that. But unlike a movie like for example Hateful Eight, which the the exposition voiceover somewhere in there, like so
Yeah,
weird at the
that's
time.
weird thing.
It's a weird,
Weird
but
choice,
I don't know if it's like it works for the movie or it should happen or not. I don't want to talk about the movie right now. But compared to that part in the movie, if you watch it, you know, the Hateful Eight. In this movie, Saturday Night Fever, um, like it kind of like if you pay attention, you can kind of follow along. And the movie, despite we say being jumbled, it's kind of easy to follow along. In fact, you see that the true like okay, if you don't realize, you know, people usually follow like a certain
3-act structure.
3-act structure, and usually on top of that structure there's another structure, which if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, please correct me if I'm wrong, like there's this thing called the hero's journey, and it was a really like old epic style of is it was it an epic, I don't know, a storytelling. You know, it's a story in of itself, but as time goes on it becomes a structure more than story. So what happens is this: you have a main character, he's flawed, and then he goes through some trials and tribulations and he finds friends along the way. That's the second act. And then when we go to the early of the end of the second act, they have a falling out and they're like, oh, I don't want to see you anymore, you know, my friend, blah blah blah, and they're separated. And in the third act, the main character tries to fight the antagonist or whatever, and then he wasn't successful, and then all the other friends come back and they're like they consult, and they're like let's have a truce right now, and then let's come together and beat this villain. We beat the villain and everybody like is happy. Like mostly movies follow that. If you think that's familiar, that's because it's been told time and time again in like I would say 90% of movies out there, like movies
Yes.
of all, like all of it, doesn't make necessarily these movies to be like a clone of each other. It's more like it follows the same structure to keep the movie like, you know, in a sense
Contained. Controlled.
content and control, like there's so many there's so many variables in a movie, right? What makes a movie a movie. But in order to keep it like structured. Or you would have like one of those like really cheap movies, those movies that try to make like, it's a Christmas tree killing people and all those ridiculous concepts, and it doesn't make sense because on top of the ridiculous concept itself, also made by the people who don't follow structure. And when I say follow structure, I don't mean you have to follow it all the way, and I don't even mean that following it would make it like non-original. I'm just saying now, for the sake of context, the hero's journey is like a structure now, more so than a story where it's like the 3 act structure. There's also the hero's journey structure. So the movie Saturday Night Fever surprisingly doesn't follow that structure.
Yeah.
It doesn't follow neither of that structure.
It's just a thing that happens during the height of this disco fever.
Yeah.
That's what it is, basically.
But the thing is, because again, it's a new movie for me, the movie for us.
Yeah.
We find it refreshing because we haven't seen like that many movies that are kind of like
raw, kind of.
Yeah. The thing is too, when it comes to the scripts, the script sometimes it's like they talk too fast, and you're like, and then sometimes it's a little bit too awkward, and you're like, if especially when you see like us, like we watch like a muffled copy of the movie,
and also we are not native speakers of English, so
some
words we just
let alone the New Yorker accent. So when we did watch the movie, I can say this, it adds to the authenticity of the movie. It's like okay, right now we're not acting, we're talking right now, right? So hopefully we come out as authentic. So I'm saying like the movie sounds like us, like we're talking right now. That's what I like about it, because sometimes when you want to do like a slice of life, which strangely enough, when I think about a slice of life, when it comes to slice of life, strangely enough, this feels kind of like a slice of life, because now that I think about it, the movie, it just take when you follow short films as a whole, most short films, the way they are like designed is for it's like a time capsule. Like everybody is living their life normally, and then as a time capsule, they start to record one part of their life like out of nowhere, somewhere in the middle, and then like we see the story just ending it's with things not resolved. Not because the things are not resolved, it's because we know after this they're gonna live their life, and then they're gonna go old and gonna die.
Life goes on.
Life goes on. So following that style of storytelling, this movie feels like it just take one part of his life, and they will just see as things progress, and right where it ended, it feels like life goes on. Like that, there's no need for like some would say it's anticlimactic, but I don't think so. The movie builds up to that conclusion, and it ended in a like a sweet spot, in my opinion. But unfortunately, the movie, I can kind of see why it died, especially the theme of dancing, despite the fact that dancing is not the main thing of the movie.
Yes.
So you get anything to that?
I got nothing to that.
Alright. So Saturday Night Fever, when it comes to the dances are really good. But the thing is, I don't know how it was marketed at the time, but the way we are it's marketed to us time and time again. Like for example, if it comes to Amazon Prime Video, for example, recently, we are told that it's a movie about people dancing or whatever. You would think that the movie have dances all the time, and that is the main focus. Like if there's a dance, if there's a competition or something, but apparently it's not. If you watch the movie, you're gonna see that the dance is just like sprinkled throughout the movie, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but at the same time, if it's marketed as that and people are told to watch that movie, nowadays, because if you want to see this and you do watch it, it's not that for the most part. I can kind of see why, even though it defined the genre at the time, the dancing genre at the time, it is not as applicable today. Not even like a, okay, that's a reason why. That's a reason why there's many format of video making and film as a whole. You know, like I said just now, short films. The slice of life mostly works with short films because the short films are short. But in this case, since the movie is long, it's not like it works all the way. The slice of life doesn't work all the way in terms of keeping the audience engaged and keeping the movie memorable.
Yeah.
And because there's not like enough dances, unlike a Michael Jackson music video, there's no like, not really like a dance number that you can follow along. Because if there's like a music playing and the character is dancing, the character is just dancing to the music, not necessarily because it is based on the beat. It just so happens that it complements each other, the dancing and the music. But it's not like they follow, like for example, if you watch Jabberwocky's dance, for example, that's the musical number, and then there's that dance moves, and that's will follow the music, so you can then follow along to the music, the set of moves, and you can do like one dance number. Comparatively to Saturday Night Fever, it's more like there's music playing, and then the character Tony Manero just dance to it, and that's it, so people can't follow along all that much. So even as a time capsule, unlike a short film, it doesn't work, or it's not as effective, because when you do go back, is the dances are too few and far between, and when the dances do come, it's just him dancing to music, not necessarily like a set that works. The music and dancing goes hand in hand. Instead it's just like complementary to each other. It just happens to be exist. It's more like commensalism. They both exist. It's not mutualism. It's not like they do things help each other or that much as a set. So because of that, people can't really remember the dances all that much, and I think that's why it died. And if you talk about you ask people will say it's a dance movie. When you do see it, there's more than that. It's a very like a dramatic and a very tragic movie, but nobody talks about that. Again, other than the movie is not being family friendly, the movie is also a tragedy. But no, when we talk around, when you talk to people and when people say to you, we talk about this movie, people don't say that. And the thing is, that's also another thing altogether. But to go on a little bit of a tangent, it's like more like a problem with society as a whole. We like to say, oh, this movie is like this, movie like that, but most people, they didn't watch the movie recently. Like some people claim that, oh, the sequel trilogy of Star Wars is so bad, like that the prequels look so much better, they're masterpiece. Actually, they are masterpieces. Well, in reality, if you look at like I did, by the way, as a background, before The Force Awakens come out, the first time like Star Wars goes back into the cinema, I watched every single film from episode 4, 5, 6, and I regret the order: 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, then 7. So when I say the other movies are trash, like the prequels, I know for a fact, personally for me, that movie is trash. So but most people, they haven't watched it recently, but they claim it as if they did. So when people claim that as if like this movie is a dancing movie and it's a fun time for everyone, they haven't watched it recently. So there you go. Okay, to plug it in, I enjoy the movie for what it is, and I definitely understand, and I'm with the people right here. The movie can kind of be like very a product of its time. Does not relate to people here nowadays. So I'm gonna give it a 5.5. I mean, because it is a solid film. Don't get me wrong. It's just that personally, I don't find it that intriguing. And even trying to be objective, like that's my preference. But even if I'm trying to be objective, the movie feels like a movie. When you're watching it, you're reminded that you're watching a movie right now. And when it comes to media, you don't want to be reminded that you doing that thing. When you're on social media, you don't want to be reminded you're watching YouTube right now. When you're playing games, you don't want to be reminded you're playing a game. Not to say that they're not videos, they're not games. Just saying that you want to totally escape and go into that world. But this movie is kind of dark. That is clashing with the tone of the dancing theme that it's going for.
So where I plug this in, I will go with, I think, 7, because like I said, sometimes the tones clash when there's like the chili dancing and there's the darker thing going on. It doesn't mesh together, and also because it's a product of its time, and that's why it's a 7 for me.
Okay.
But still enjoyable in some way. Yeah.
Yeah, to end this off, here's
Wait.
But I'm not done yet.
Here's a bonus thing as to why Forever Fever is kind of like not out there yet, because this is the first feature from the director. So there's lots and lots of mistakes, as in you can see boom mics.
yeah, the boom mic is a boom mic simulator. I forgot about that.
You can
man.
see like camera rigs popping out in the frame. So
No,
that's
no, don't get us wrong. We're not trying to, quote unquote bully this director or anything. That is his first movie. We don't blame him. It's just that we've seen enough movies and we can compare the other directors that are also first timers that do way better of a job. I'm not saying that this person, the boom mic operator, cannot improve later on.
yeah.
I'm just saying it is very apparent that that movie, is a movie also. If I think about it. So in that sense, it's kind of like a bad thing. Okay, now,
So yeah, I think that's it.
yeah, to end this off, because it's the trilogy and a slot, and that how the format that we watch it. Two nights in a row, one movie Tony Manero, second and then two movies,
Back to back on
for Forever Night and then Saturday Night Fever back to back. Yeah, we celebrated Saturday Night Fever as our New Year activity, by the way, and
yeah.
so in that sense, here's where it gets weird. This is why I hate numerically rate a movie, because like I said, when I say Story Manero, I would give it like an 8.5 out of 10. I say Forever Fever, like I give it like a what was it like? I give it a 6 if I'm not mistaken. I give it a 6, I think.
Yeah, 6.
Yeah, and then you can go back and you can like correct me if I got it wrong. And Saturday Night Fever, I gave it like a 5.5. But in terms of which I would like for what I like more to the least liked, I would say the first place goes to Tony Manero, second place goes to Saturday Night Fever, and third place go to Forever Fever. Yes, Saturday Night Fever, which is a 5.5 for me personally, is preferred to be watched by me more than the second movie, which is Forever Fever, which I give it a 6. You see, that's why I don't like this rating. And the reason why for me personally is like, dude, I love crime. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm intrigued by it. I watch a lot of true crime stuff, on YouTube in the middle of the night. So I am very intrigued by it to the point that what feels like home for me is not something fluffy and sunshiny or whatever. It's crime. So personally, that's my like ranking. First place Tony Manero, second place Saturday Night Fever, third place Forever Fever. Because Forever Fever is just too cheesy for me, man. And it was fun at the time. It was fun with the crowd. But personally, I wouldn't watch a movie like that again.
For if I need to plug my rating and
Ranking.
my ranking, it's man, even though I hate this movie, I mean, hate for the context of the movie, I would like to ranking it first. Tony Manero, that's the first. The second one is Okay, second is Forever Fever, and the last one is Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah.
That's me.
And that's a funny thing too. If you listen to his ranking, it's like the movie that these other two movies are based on is less favorable, which is like you wouldn't know unless you watch it for yourself. Like no amount of like people telling you how the movie is going to change whether or not you will like that movie for yourself unless you watch the movie for yourself. And that's what we like to cultivate here. We want to promote the appreciation of film. When you watch a film, you press play and judge it by yourself. And that's also like another thing altogether where it's like I'm not gonna watch it till the day that I die, and maybe that's a topic for another episode. Yeah, and so that is another thing altogether. But for now, we leave you with our 2 cents here. Like me personally, I think um there's almost no alternative to watching the movie for yourself before you judge it. So that's why when you look at reviews, look at why people like that thing instead of how much people read it. Like for example, when I look at Rogue One, it's like a movie that I would watch in a heartbeat because it's like Endor is Star Wars without lightsaber. There are more connotations to that. That's why I don't hate. That's why I hate lightsaber or anything like that. It's just that there are things that come with the lightsabers that I hate about Star Wars as a whole. But when I see a review, oh, not enough Darth Vader, too much, not enough lightsaber. It's like that for me is a selling point. Maybe the writer of that review don't like that there's not much lightsaber. Me, I like that there's no lightsaber. So I go to Rogue One because there's no lightsaber. So it's important for you to look at why. Listen to our discussion. Don't just listen and skip to ratings and like, oh,
Yeah.
like he says it's a 5.5, so I don't need to watch Saturday Night Fever. I say watch it, man. If it's that much of a staple, it defines the time. I think it's important for us as film watchers to spend some time to to at least watch the staple ones. If not the hidden gems, or if not trying to find like movies that you might like that others might not like. Like you just have to watch the staple. Like for us, we haven't watched Lord of the Rings trilogy. Can you imagine that? We haven't watched. I watched The Hobbit. That's why I was able to enjoy it. But that's a topic for another day.
So thank you for tuning in. If you survived this long, thank you so much for listening or watching whatever you're doing with this. Thank you so much, and see you in the next one. Okay, keluar.
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 Blah 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 blah.
Oi, keluar.
Tok.